Hi guys, I am a fifth year, by the way. I've been using Revit for many years, basically since second year. And so I'm kind of qualified to maybe teach you. We're gonna probably start it. I want this to be like an interactive thing. So if you have Revit on your computer, it would be best if you opened it and just kind of work along with me. I will show you like a big model that I've made that you probably can see at the screen right now at the end of the workshop. But I want to basically build a basic house with you and teach you how to do main things, access the libraries, basically build anything in this program and use it for basic construction work, as well as maybe make a basic axonometric, because this program basically allows you to do that. So if anything, let's just follow my screen. And if you have any questions, please, feel free to drop them in the chat. So if you have Revit open, just go to like File and then New, and then pick a project. In my case, will be pick a project, but in your case, if I get out of my thing, I'll just start. So you should have something like this open, and then you should say, create a new Revit model file, and then always pick an architectural template, because all the other templates won't give you access to basically a UK library of things, which allows you to work with existing conditions that actually exist in UK and sizes. So if you pick the model, you will end up with a blank space. And then the main navigation points are at the top. So you have walls, doors, windows, there's components, columns, roofs, ceilings, floors, and all the other things at the top. And then on the sidebar, you have properties, which basically tell you what you're looking at, if you can crop the view, all the other elements. And then at the end, there is a project bar, and that basically lets you see where the sections are, elevations, ceiling plans, 3D views, sheets, and other elements. And these wee tiny icons that I just underlined, they are your elevation points. If you click on it, it will basically show you the elevation. And let's set it out. So click any of them and click at the bottom of it. So basically that little arrow down, that shows you the elevation of overall the whole thing. At the moment it's set at 4,000, but let's set it out to be at 3,000. So basically only if you click at the element. And then I was thinking maybe we can add one more level, so we kind of build a basic house. And if you drag it along, it should kind of align with your back and take you and show you exactly the same thing. And then you can set again the height of, sorry, that's 300 in my case, 3,000 again. So that's 2 levels of our house. Is everybody following that? Don't feel free if you don't, so I can slow down. And then at the top, you can see that we have a north elevation point open and then level 0 open. And if you now go into like walls, it basically drops down menu, shows you what type of walls and elements you have. Each kind of wall corresponds with what it is. So it's wall external, red brick, then block work, then air insulation, then another insulation, and then block work, and then plasterboard. But if you want to edit it, you're allowed to. Basically, if you click on the wall in here for edit type, it basically shows you all the properties of the wall. And just, you don't have to do this, but you can, if you want to adjust your wall thicknesses, you can adjust all the finishes and all elements within the wall itself. So at the moment we have like a render external and then the plasterboard finish. But if we wanted a thinner wall, we can do that as well. And you can basically adjust it to be anything. And just for your benefit, I'll show you if I wanted to change that beige render to something else. If you click that 3 dots next to your render, it basically shows you like a big library of materials. And then you can change the appearance into, for example, gray or any other library if you want this. This button at the top basically allows you to go to an AutoCAD library that has every single finish possible on earth that's already been adjusted to the program that you don't have to use, but you can use to basically do anything with your building that you want. So let's kind of build the basic wall square thing. So I built them and I didn't set it out right now, but on the panel, if you see, so it's level 0, but then you can see that it's unconnected right now. And let's say we want to connect it to level 1. That way all the walls are kind of connected to level 1 right now. So here at the top, you have this extra thing, but I'm gonna go through here. So that's your 3D view. And it basically shows you, yeah, we built like a square right now that has all the 4 walls set up with the exact orientation. So you have the render on the outside and the plasterboard on the inside. You can change the view to be realistic, consistent color, shaded, and hidden line, as well as wireframe. I kind of tend to use shaded, so you can see what elements you can see on the screen color-wise, and if your wall orientation is good. If your wall orientation will be wrong, like this, it won't align with your structure. So I'll flip this back right up. And then let's build us a floor, and we can build a load-bearing one. So it shows you like a menu at the top, and it allows you to either pick lines, draw lines yourself, or you can pick walls as well. I tend to pick lines because it's so much easier, and normally the load-bearing wall you would set out to be outside. This line kind of indicates what way the floor is spanning. In this case, it's spanning this way. So, I mean, it is only important when you're doing like timber floors or anything like that. But in this case, it's concrete, so we don't really care which way is spanning, especially that is basically foundation. But that basically set out your floor. And then if you go back to your 3D view, you can see the floor appears, and it's set out under your ground floor, basically on the level, and it's visible in here as well. You can move these around just by clicking and dragging them along, and you can see all your elevations. The floor mostly on the ground floor appears below it. If you really want it to be, if you really want this to be basically the same color as your upper type of wall, you can go to color button, which is located in modify. And then there is a lot of things, but there is a paint, which allows you basically to drag the paint and paint your foundation or any other elements, as well as remove it. So if you don't want it, you can remove the paint from the wall that you just painted. It's not permanent, it's not part of your structure, it's just part of being painted. And let's say we want to add some rooms inside. So if we build anything like that, so we were gonna look for internal walls that has a plasterboard, then block work, then plasterboard again. So it's quite a thick wall. And just before I do that, it's set up to level 1. And let's just set it out to be big rooms in the house or whatever. You can adjust the sizes as well of the rooms. So if you click on here, you can see that there's dimensions that I can set out to be whatever. So like, let's say 600. And then I can measure them as well with the tool at the top. So that's a line dimension. And that will measure from the central wall to the central wall, center of your wall. But you can set it out to measure from the interior faces. So if you zoom in, you can tab it basically anytime you want to basically pick a line within your wall. So you can tab it to actually make it align with the interior face. And that basically gives you or the dimension, or set it out to be the face of anything, which basically allows you to measure everything. And these measurements kind of stay permanent. You can hide them or you don't have to hide them. So let's, sorry, because it's sharing the screens. So this will basically allow me to align the button in here. So we have align, we have offset, there is a mirror as well. There is a mirror to draw, and then you have split elements, split with a gap, which doesn't actually work, by the way. I don't know who actually designed it, but this button doesn't work. Array, so that basically creates like a big group that allows you to copy a lot of elements at the same time. There is move, copy, or rotate, and then trim and join, as well as scale and pinning. So if you don't want your walls or any element on your drawing, if it's a wall, if it's a window, or even if it's a dimension to move, you can pin it in place. Basically, if you try to move it, it will tell you it's an error or that you can't actually take it from that place. So let's say we just have all of these basic things, and then you can come back to architecture, and then we have walls and windows. I'm gonna ask if everybody's following it. If anything, just drop a question on the chat. I see nothing, so I assume everybody is. And that basically gives you a window pop-up menu. This is just a basic window size. All of the windows have sizes just like the walls written next to them. It gives you a sill height and a head height right now at the bottom. But if you don't like that type of the window, what good comes from this program is that it allows you to either change the size of the window, duplicate the same thing to create your own sizes, or basically load a size or window that's consistent with UK regulations from a library. So if you downloaded your Revit, you downloaded a massive library of things that work with UK regulation systems. And at the bottom of your library, there's a lot of things in here. So there's doors, planting, plumbing, countertops, furniture, people, a lot of structural elements. And we're just gonna go into windows. You have structural windows, but then you have normal windows as well. And that basically lets you pick a type of window you kind of want to work with. And let's say we want something with bars and at that size. So basically, if you click just OK, it will automatically load that family in. And then you have materials that are at the window that you can change the same way that we just changed the wall. And you have all the parameters of the whole program that tells you what size everything is. So let's say we want a size that's not here. We can duplicate the type and then name the size you want it to be. So let's just say we want our window to be 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters, so a perfect square. And that duplicated that window for us. But now you have to change the rough width to 1.5, as well as rough height for 1.5, sorry. And then just click OK. So that basically gives us a big window. And you can see when I dropped it in, it automatically embeds it in the wall. And the orientation of it is very important, because the way that I just set it out, you can see it aligns with my current structure. So it sets the element of the window exactly where it should sit on the structure. And as well as the sill, internal sill should be bigger than the external sill. And in here, the other way around, it doesn't actually set it up that way. And then whatever you want to do and wherever you want to place any of these windows, we can just go and copy them. And you can actually copy from a certain element. So I can click it in here and then drag it along and tell it exactly what kind of distance from a previous window I want it to be. And let's say I want it to be 3 meters distance, but then it tells me, yeah, there is a problem. Your sill is touching one of your windows. So then you have to move it back. I mean, in my case, I do. And then a standard size. So that basically, if you go to 3D model, I'm gonna spin around. So for spinning, normally, so you don't go into the air, you can click an element, click the middle of your mouse and shift, and that allows you to spin around the element itself. So you don't actually, if I don't click the element, it will spin everything around. And if you have a big model, that is problematic because it might spin you inside the building instead of actually spinning you somewhere else. So if I click around a material, it will just spin me around that exact object. So let's go back to level 0 and let's just put like a door right now. So again, we have double doors and single doors, and I don't like that door again, or I like that door. In this case, like, it doesn't really matter if I load it. It's exactly the same process as loading a window. So that allows you to basically load any type of door. With a door, you will get a difference. So let's just go to doors. You will get ergonometry. So that's basically like handles and elements. So you can change all your type handles within a family type, but that's a very complicated process. And then you get external doors, internal doors, and structural doors. If you're not working with structure, you don't tend to use any elements of structural openings, structural doors, structural columns, structural walls, anything, because they kind of operate on different system than the architectural part of this program. So I want an external door, and let's say I want a glass door right now, and then all of the elements will just appear inside, and then all of the elements for your door will appear as well. If you're not interested in any slightest part in structure, you have stuff called detail level. So at the bottom of your page, you have scale, which you can basically set up to be whatever you want. You have detailed elements. So if I change it to coarse, it's basically blank walls and blank elements. It doesn't show you any details. Then you have type of view. So if I want it, now it's my floors are concrete and everything is just shaded in realistic form. Let's just go to hidden frame. And then you have a sun path, which I can switch on right now, and basically shows me how the sun can travel within our project. I can set it up to be whatever and whatever time. It's very important later on when you do renders. You have shadows, so that at the moment you have internal shadows because we didn't put any roof or window or any upper floor in. And then we have stuff that is like a crop view. So basically it will show you if you crop the view on the side in here, that will basically allow you to have like a section box or anything else. And you can crop annotation, you can crop regions, and you can crop basically everything you want in this project, allowing you to go into elements that you basically don't want to see. You have isolate. So if I wanted to work on this wall particularly only, and if it's a big project and you want to see elevation of it or anything, you can temporarily isolate either the category or isolate the element. So that basically shows me just the wall that I wanted, and then reset temporary isolation so you can see the whole model within itself. And then you have something called hidden view. So there's elements like this or other elements that you might want to hide. So if I don't want to see these dimensions, I can right click, I can select it, right click, and there is like a big menu that pops in here. And then I can select all things in this view, and then I can say hide the element or hide the category. So let's say I want to hide the element, so this hides it. But if you want to view the element again, you go to the hide view, which is basically that little icon at the bottom. And you can the same way unhide the whole thing. So you can either unhide the element or unhide the category. So let's just say I want to actually unhide this element, and I want to unhide only this element. And then I can switch this off, and all these two elements come back, but the long element doesn't come back. And I will show you one more thing, because I think that's important. A lot of us use curtain walls or walls that are basically dropped down, that are not actual windows. So let's draw a curtain wall. Before you draw a curtain wall to anything, go into edit type, and always say automatically embed within the wall type, because that way the wall will actually be visible within the wall, and it will cut your wall as well. So if I drop it right now, you will actually see the wall. So just for your benefit, I won't embed mine, and you'll see what will happen if I did this. Sorry. I will draw that one again. So that's not embedded right now. See, it's overlapping right now, and it's not actually visible. So if I click embed, it will automatically embed it back. So my best way to actually edit curtain walls, and mine is connected to level 1, is to set it out in 3D view. So you have this little thing in there, basically kind of like in AutoCAD. So you can set it to frontal view, and that allows you to kind of see your whole curtain wall. If you don't want to, just like here, you can adjust the sizes of it depending on whatever you want. If you want to adjust it actual sizes, you can either adjust it on a panel in here, just like anything else, or you can adjust it. You can adjust like the angles and other stuff and constraints. So I can set my base offset to be exactly 200, and I can offset it for 200 from the level that you connect it to. So that's like top offset. So I want it to be minus 200. So that's basically embedded within our wall, but you can drag it as well along if you wanted not any offsets. So to make it look like actual curtain wall, you have curtain grid, and you can set it up basically by dragging any of these elements along. So whatever sizes you want, and you can adjust these sizes exactly like we adjusted anything else previously. So I want that stretched a bit. So let's say, sorry. So that's the same sizes all along right now, right? And then we can do exactly the same the other way. So if you drag along any of the walls, you will either set out a grid one way or the other. If you drop it exactly in the middle, it will always show you the middle split somewhere. It will feel almost like a block thing. So if it just set, it will set kind of automatically. And then the way to add it, and then you have something called mullions. And the easiest way, if you want all your grid lines to be exactly the same, you add all the curtain grids. And you can adjust the mullion sizes and mullion looks. So I can either have circular ones, rectangular ones, trapeze, V, or any other thing basically you want. The same comes with adjusting its sizes. So at the moment it's 50 by 100. So it basically shows you in here, so what's the thickness and what's the width on both sides of the mullion. So you will see it internally and you will see it externally. That's why it's split into two sizes. And right now I want all the curtain grids to basically show up. And that will allow you, if you spin around, to see that you get a proper curtain grid in here. Since we're on it, we can the same way get rid of the curtain grid. So if you click on one of your mullions, you can get rid of the mullions. And if you click on that line, you have the bottom and top thing shows add and remove segments. I can remove the segments internally for my mullion. And then I can remove the if you keep tapping, it will basically allow you to pick any elements that you can't see. So like if I have this, but I want to pick only that mullion at the bottom, I can keep tapping, just press tab until you basically reach that mullion, and it basically allows you to get rid of it. If you want in your curtain wall to have a door, so that's basically the opening I create, it's not as easy. You will have to go to File, then Open, and then you have to open a family. Basically, then you have to go to Curtain Wall Panels. It's like a hit and take, and pick types of doors and whatever you want. And it allows you to basically, it will open kind of like a new project, only connected to that door. So it's a family. And you can embed different families within your project, just like windows, doors, and other elements that comes the same with like countertops and other internal things. And basically what you do is load into the project, and it won't see it right now. But then what happens, I don't know if that's too fast, I hopefully not. Basically what you do, you would tap it until you picked a panel, and it will drop down the menu. And it will show you that there is a system panel, and you can make it solid or you can make it glass, and then your door will automatically be loaded there. And that's the door right now in here with a handle, with everything that you wanted. And you can just close that thumbnail. It's already been saved. There's no reason, and that is automatically set in your project. And you can put the windows, doors, anything basically inside. If you want to change the wall during the type, you can go and click other wall type and all the other elements, all the other elements within the building itself. And then I was thinking that we can maybe put a roof on it. So if you go to level 1, you kind of see the outline, because your walls, all of your walls are kind of hitting the level. And we can either do a ceiling first. So you will get either a sketch ceiling or an automatic ceiling, then a head offset or anything like that. But at the moment it says we're on level 1. We will want to set the ceiling for level 0. So we'll not do the ceiling right now. So let's do the roof first. And you have different types of roofs. You can make them and edit them. You can make sloping or any other thing. So basically at the top, you can set the overhang of your roof, and let's set it to like 60. And then you can define the slope or not define the slope. And in my case, I'm just gonna draw a rectangle. At the moment, as you can see, all my walls, all my roofs are sliding. So this kind of wee tiny icon is for like defining a slope. If you click on that line, it will show you what kind of angle at the moment your roof is. But if you want your roof to only say slide a certain way, you can definitely click on this and say, or either on this panel or at the top, not to define the slope in a certain way. And then if you click OK, it will kind of show you the cut through your roof. And then if you go to 3D right now and spin around, the roof will just spin like this. You clearly don't want these gaps. So to get rid of the gaps, normally what you do, you would attach the top to the base, and that basically automatically attaches your walls to the top of your roof. And that way you kind of get a house. You can spin the other way around as well with your roof if you want it. And then if you go to any elevation or any frontal view, you can either drag your roof to be smaller or bigger, or when you edit the roof, exactly like we did previously with other stuff, you can edit the footprint and set your angle to be completely different. So if I want this angle to be 15, I want it to be equal on both sides, I would set it to be 15. And that way I will see a bigger cut of the roof, as well as the roof being attached to the walls that way. So, and all of the elements that you do, it can be completely adjusted. So it's not any problem. See, like, for example, we put the doors in, but at the moment it's one material. If you don't like it and you've already put it in, you can come back to it and you can adjust the materiality. So at the moment, I kind of picked material for the door. So I want it to be glass. I can type at the top to be glass, and it will automatically find me glass that it's already been set in the library. And if I don't have any material in here already set up that you want it to be, you can create a new material. And basically that allows you to create a new material when you get graphics, identity, and appearance. Always click use render appearance and identity, name your material whatever you like. So let's say door frame. And then possibly for work experience, if you ever do that, and work ethic, you would normally go door frame and then what material. And in this case, I, for example, want bridge material, and then you would pick a class. So in my case, this is wood, and whatever you think you want to put. And then you either get, oh, sorry, not in this case. I will pick and drop bridge into, come on. That basically just drops an image in here. When you have an existing material, have access to the library that's already in here as well. That gives you a split of all the materials. That's the one that you've already downloaded. The other one basically is just for AutoCAD, so it's anything that's to do with it. And I have a bridge, then there's a roughness to be set up, so, and reflectance. Then you have translucency, emissioncy, and refill pattern. So basically that allows you to create a bump. So for your building to look realistic, every kind of image, kind of like a V-Day or any other thing, will have a bump, and that will create a realistic kind of image of your material. For the future, you can make cutouts as well, but I don't recommend it because it doesn't actually work that well with most of materials unless you want to make a mesh, because that's what normally happens. And then that basically will automatically update the look of your door or any other material to it. You can edit this family as well. If you, for example, wanted handles, I can go and either create the handle myself, or I can load the handle and load it into the project. But that is kind of advanced for right now, so I'll just skip it. So that's basically like the basic idea of building all of your elements. But the program allows you to do a lot of more things than just, you know, build like basic walls and things. You can set up the structure, as I said. So let's go back to fine. If I said, for example, that I want my structural primary elements to be steel, I can go back to this and say I want a column. That automatically loads me an architectural column. At this moment, it is set up to be mostly timber. If you want, this is the only time, by the way, if you want steel columns, you should use a structural column, because that will be a universal column that is set up in an exact size. You can make it smaller or bigger and basically add it to your whole element. At the moment, it told me that, I think it told me that I can't set it up for God knows what reason. Let's say it's to level 1. Sorry. Constraints invalid. Yeah, it said that my top constraint is invalid right now, but basically this allows you to view your elements. And I think at the moment that was a problem because visibility and graphics. So basically there's a lot into this program. So if you can't see something like what just happened on my screen, it probably happened to yours. So on the property panel, if you don't select anything, you have something called visibility and graphics. And that basically shows you what's visible in your project right now. So I should have columns visible. Don't know why it's not, but it should be visible. if I apply it, I don't know why it's not visible. Sorry, see, oh, because I made a mistake and set it up basically from minus whatever to top constraint. So that's why it wasn't visible in mine. It probably should be visible in yours. That way, if I come back and delete that, it will come back to actually being on my plan. Sorry, guys. See, sometimes you get a lot of things and make mistakes as well. And then it's just simple to go to 3D and see where your model or element went. And you can set up the constraints again, so you can actually see the elements. And these columns are just as easily movable. You can adjust them to sit whenever. If you hit the line in the middle of the wall, that's basically where it's normally supposed to sit. And you can, if you don't want it to be that direction, you can spin. And you can say exactly what angle you want it to set. At the moment, I want it to be 90, so it sits bang on my connection within the walls. So you can see it sits perfectly within the wall. It's a bit too big for the walls that we've already built, but basically it allows you to do anything. It allows you to do exactly the same thing with walls. You can go, click, rotate, and you can spin them any way you want them. If you don't want your walls basically to connect the way they're connecting right here, you can click on that wee tiny dot and say, I disallow the joint. And then that wall is only hitting the external elements. It is very good. It's a very good thing if you want to draw, for example, a detail or anything, and you don't want anything to overlap or anything like that. And you can allow it to join back if you prefer it that way. But sometimes you don't want stuff to join, and that way you can just allow it to join or allow it to join, which I think it's a very useful thing. And let's show you one more thing. So you can build a ramp, which basically allows you to drag it, and it will ask you how high you want the ramp to be. Normally you would set up the constraints for it. At the moment, it tells me that it automatically calculated, by the way. So like this is the ramp and it tells you the incline, but what it is, it's basically telling you the automatic calculation. That's for British standard, how you would basically calculate the maximum slope or maximum rise, and it basically creates a big ramp within. I'll take it to the outside so you can actually see that will slope all the way through. And in case of the ramps, they normally don't actually hit the spot that they're supposed to hit, because it, in my case, I told my ramp to hit level 1, but then you have to actually watch up if it does. If it doesn't, then you kind of have to play with different elements of it. But in most cases, you won't probably be using ramps. If you do, then it's hit and miss and hit and play. But what you can do mostly is probably set up the stairs. You have different types of stairs. Let's see, like at the moment I just did a house, so I would say a residential stair. And then you can set up your constraints first, and then a desired number. Then there's an actual thread size. So if you wanted to make something that's sittable on, you can adjust the height, the thread size wise, but you can't adjust the riser. The riser isn't automatically calculated. So like you have a calculation rule basically, and then it tells you all the things, the automatically riser height and then the minimal riser height, and basically everything to do with regulations that are in Britain. And let's say you can either create them to be completely straight, or you can create totally different things with this. You can get complete round staircase. So that basically will spin. You can get a stair that is round as well, and then there is L shape automatically, and then there is like a turning stairs. But let's say we just want a break in our stairs with a platform on it. So you can pick how many risers you want at the beginning. So it tells you that at the bottom of the stair. And let's say I want 9 risers, and then I want the landing. to be in there, and then the remaining of 9, which is 18, to our upper floor. And they will automatically create a landing for you, which basically is going to be like a 10th step. You can make the landing as big as you want. You can extend them if you wanted the landing to whatever be there, as long, and you can do the same with your stairs and the sizes of the stairs by dragging or adjusting the size in here to be whatever you want. It will tell me this is a mistake, for example, because it's too small compared to people actually going in it. But then you have to remember what kind of sizes you want or whatever. And I can just move my stair as well in there to be smaller or bigger. In this case, let's just do that. And then if I click OK, it will automatically show you the up and down. It will automatically have a barrier, which you are allowed to change. So railings are tricky. I would not play with railings as much. I would just pick from the railings that are ready or download them from, if you want to download the railing, you are able to do that. You can download it from like National BIM Library or like BIM Objects or anything along, or Revit City. They're all free platforms, by the way. And they basically give you all the possible models that you want to like put in your project. So people, counters, furniture, any sort of thing that you possibly think of, finishes. And so if you remember how I did my, how I opened the extra door as a family, it will basically download your family, and the only thing you have to do is load it into the project. If it was a railing, it will automatically show up as a family of railings. If it was a door or window, it's normally supposed to show up properly as a window or door, unless it's a sliding glass door. That normally gets classified as a window, which is ridiculous, but that's what happens. And that is kind of roughly it. Like, let's say I want my railings to be glass. It will automatically change your drawing as well. And you can match any of your railings as well the same way. So that is basically our stair if we had an upper floor. If I wanted to actually draw a railing that is freestanding, it will allow you to do that. So I can do whatever, but it needs to be a consistent drawing. If I did that, it will come up with an error. Basically, the railing must be continuous. So, and you just continue, get rid of the railing that you drew in the wrong place. If I had a tiny one anywhere else, then you search for the stuff that's not connected. So even if I did that or whatever anywhere else, it will tell me it's an error. And normally if it's an error, it'll come up with the menu that you just saw, and you can click. So I'll draw the extra railing. I'll say, okay, but you can say expand, and then it will show you where the error is mostly, or you can say export collapse, or if I come back, I can ask it sometimes if it's not connected to show me where it's not connected, to kind of like draw the railing itself. So I'll just draw a railing right now so you can guys see, and it's a glass railing right now, and it has the pipe and or whatever you want it to be basically. And let's say you actually decided, oh God, I maybe want a second floor above this. So what you can do is get rid of your roof and go back to your level 0 and say, oh, select all similar walls again, and it will select all your external walls. At some point at the beginning, we set them to be only to level 1, but right now, for example, you want only this wall to hit level 2, which you are allowed to do. So when you go to 3D, that wall will extend to your level 2, and you will see all your other elements that you've built. So that's the stair that we've built right now with the glass panels, and all of this kind of reflects in your 3D work as well as on your plan. So basically everywhere. And materiality is exactly the same thing. You can change it within the element of the family. So if you just edit the type, you can copy this. If I want this stair to kind of repeat, I can select my stair. At the top, you have copy to clipboard, and then I can say align to selected level, pick level, or align to the same place. And let's say I want them to come up on the second level as well. So they basically continue on the upper floor. You can keep doing that with anything you want. And let's say I wanted that second floor to actually have extra walls. I don't want to lose the wall that I've already done. So you can say create similar. And that basically allows you to create the same type of wall that you had before. And let's say I didn't properly align this. Sorry, I kind of fucked up right now. But let's say if you aligned it, it's fine. But if you say I properly didn't align it, but I want it aligned somewhere, I can either go back to modify and do this and basically click the external face of the wall and it will automatically align to me. But you can see I've already done something wrong because my structure doesn't align. So that means this and this wall, as well as this wall, wasn't rotated exactly to the place because all of this is supposed to align nicely. And that will kind of give me a second floor. It automatically joins. I can move this either as a whole structure. Is Revit as customizable as other softwares like pushing and pulling walls on SketchUp and facades development? Yeah, so like see, I got this wall right now. I can push it and pull it exactly the same. It will kind of tell me if I fucked up something. It will tell me exactly what I did wrong. And I can either delete the element or I can come back to its original place. And then, for example, if I want this element to still stay in here, I can copy it or cut it out, drag my wall back as I wanted it, and then paste it and align it to the same place. And that way you get everything back without actually making an error, but you can literally adjust anything, pulling, pushing. If I want this wall to be extended, I can just push it and pull it, kind of like SketchUp. The only thing you can't change without, like in SketchUp, I can't make my wall thicker unless I adjust the structure of my wall. But that basically keeps you intact for if you're working on a big project, you don't want to work with like 100 types of walls or 100 types of different structures. So you set up your 3 basic or 4 basic types of walls that allows you to kind of work with everything. And it allows you to do stuff like, if you do a floor or anything, you can just adjust the sizes of it. And I have a stair right now, right? So I just built that upper floor. So around your staircase, you can normally, without any problems, kind of build a size. It tells me right now it's overlapping. So what you would do is go split the surface and then just like this, connect it. You can adjust it, the split, any type you want. And this basically allows you to draw anything you want anywhere and make it basically big, massive cuts, lines, ellipses, literally anything. And then you can do it freehand as well. So this allows me to adjust and do weird curves and other things. So let's just click continue and then whatever. And then that basically, yes, you like to attach the walls, always detach the target at the moment. But basically that allowed me to build a floor that was thick enough. At this point, I can adjust it to be something completely smaller. So that's timber right now. And then that would be concrete. You can build custom models in here as well if you wanted to. But basically you can cut and push and pull and do anything with this. If you want to adjust it, you just go back, say adjust the boundary. You can adjust it in basically any level you want, and it will show you on literally everything where you would adjust it. So at the moment, the only thing we haven't done yet is to basically cut a section. So you get different tabs at the top. So you get a structural tab, so that's all the structural things that you normally don't use. Then there is a steel, so that's mostly to do with plumbing and connectivity, so they're used mostly by engineers. Then there's systems. You can do anything you want. You can set up plumbing systems, sprinkles. The only thing I use from this is lighting fixtures, but that is like a big process, but basically it allows you to load a light within from the normal library. Like we've loaded everything else, and it'll be under lighting, and then architectural, and then internal, and then you can basically pick any light you want. At the moment, I'll pick a floor lamp, because for light you have to build a ceiling, and if you put a lamp in, it tells you how many watts and how many I can't remember what's called, but basically voltages is using right now. You can adjust all of it, as well as adjust the intensity of the light, either as a simple or as an advanced. And basically you can adjust the wattage for whatever you want. It's a hit and miss. You can adjust the color of the light to be whatever you kind of want. You can do literally a lot of things with this weird stuff, and anything you kind of want. And then that basically builds me a lamp on level 0 right now, but I can copy it and paste it and do the same with ceilings. So if I'm on level 0, I'll show you with a ceiling. So at the moment I have a compact ceiling. You can make it as a grid ceiling, but you can build proper arches as well as a custom family and kind of insert it in, or find a family that's basically as a ceiling, and it will create like big arches for if you wanted your ceiling to be vaulted, for example. And I'll just sketch my ceiling, because I find it easier than an automatic, because an automatic ceiling basically automatically assumes there's a room somewhere and assigns the ceiling to a room. And it doesn't always work, because if you, for example, offsetted your walls to be lower or higher and they don't hit, then the ceiling is going to be adjusted and put into the whole building on the same level and on the same height. So I'll just drop a ceiling that it's here, and remembering that we have our stair opening, remember to always cut an opening for your ceiling. So that basically allows you to do this sort of stuff. So your ceiling hits right now, it says it's hitting at 2.6. You can adjust it as long as it's below the floor that you build above. And that basically allows me to do that. And then you have stuff like ceiling plans. And then in level 0, it will show me my ceiling plan. And then if I do the components, that's basically all the components that you've already had in a building. There's some that are automatically upload, but then I want my lighting to hit from the top right now. So let's just pick a lamp. And that basically allows me to drop my lamps, and you can adjust them and draw a grid if you prefer. So if you go to annotate, there is something called regions, so you can block an element of your building, or you can basically draw a detail line, and that will allow you to drop and draw any line, and you can align just like we aligned the wall previously, you can align your lamps to sit on the same line, and you can then either hide this line or you can delete it. So it's quite easy to do, but basically that allows you to build anything you wanted. And at the moment, for example, I'm interested to see if the pendant lamp, as you can see on normal plan, it's too long. So you can adjust the height of the pendant lamp. So top height, radius, anything basically within it. And what I want to do right now is, if I can remember where it is, I think it's in, I forgot. So you can draw grid lines, by the way, as well. So like if you want your whole building to sit as a grid, you can draw your grid lines and adjust them to be whatever you want them to be. And it basically tells you what grid line is what. But what I wanted to do was to cut a section for you guys. And I just can't remember where the hell is it right now. Oh, got it. Sorry. in view, you basically have a 3D view, templates, and other callout is basically if you want to do details. So that will be something that you would do at work. So basically, like it's like a window, and it calls out the corner into whatever scale you want. So I just called it out in 1 to 2, but that basically allows me to see what my walls are made of, which is something that you'll probably do at work at some point. I don't want it right now, but I want the section to go through my staircase. I dragged it. So if you don't want your section to look far, you can align your line of a section, basically what I'm dragging and pulling right now, to kind of hit the element you only want to see. So let's see, I don't want to see beyond this line, so I just adjust it. And to actually go into your section, you either come here to the panel, because right now your section panel will kind of show up, or you double click on the top of that. And that basically shows you your section and where all your elements are hitting right now. If you, for example, don't like the fact that that wall is too short, you can extend it in here the same way as you would extend anything, and you can match it to any basic elements you want, basically, to adjust it to hit whatever spot you kind of want. And if I wanted, for example, that ceiling to repeat, so I would do the same thing. And now I can pick a level. So because we have level 1, I just put my ceiling. If I take and edit this ceiling, it's not automatically going to edit the one, because it basically creates a copy of it, but it doesn't link them together. So you can adjust and pull everything you kind of want to pull. So right now you can see this view is cropped. You can uncrop it. So that basically gets rid of all the extra elements that you have in it. If you are annoyed, for example, that this is too big, you can do exactly the same thing here. And it's called a section box. We're trying to find right now. Yeah, section box. And that basically creates a box that lets you drag it around and basically creates a 3D view in section for you to see. And you can spin it around and do the same thing with parts of the building and cut whatever you want out of it. If you just want a small chunk, and if you want to see inside what's exactly there, it will cut literally everything you have. So if you uploaded a SketchUp model into this, it will cut it as well. So it's basically extremely powerful. And speaking of those, you can basically link CAD, which allows you to link all your basic plans from CAD if you want to build in it. You can link a different Revit model, and you can, when you link CAD, you can import it as well. And if you import it, you can just do the same thing with SketchUp model. For example, if you want to build a topography or anything else in SketchUp, and you just, it feels safer for you for not building any masses or anything else in Revit, which is kind of complicated. You just upload your SketchUp model or a CAD plan or whatever you want, and it will basically show up in here. So I can link my CAD or whatever you would pick, anything from your documents, or if you set it up. At the moment, I don't think I have anything, but like, for example, I have the map. I can link it in here in some elements, yes, or whatever. But basically allows you to import anything you kind of want. At the moment, it doesn't let me because I don't have AutoCAD on my machine right now. So like, but you can do that. If you upload your plans, always separate your plans. That's a tip. Always separate every single floor plan into different CAD files. So if your level 0 is level 0, just have level 0 plan, then level 1 plan, then level 2 plan. And then when you upload them to exact level you want, because all of them will upload in like 0.0 automatically onto your plan, and it will all overlap, and they're basically unmovable from there. You can export them as well in here, but it's kind of, it basically gets rid of half of your lines, so you don't really want to do that. And then you can hide them as well as just adjust them and move them, so you just unpin them. And basically the last thing I kind of want to show you guys is how to do axonometric, because a lot of us are using these elements. So basically, if you, for example, want your walls or elements to move exactly the same, so let's say I have this gable and I want the whole gable to kind of move out, you have displace element, and that links them together. And basically what you can do is push and pull it out any way you kind of want it to move in the distance. And I normally, when I do that, because it's a 3D view, I kind of duplicate a view. So when you right click on your 3D view on your menu in here, so right click it and then you can say duplicate a view. Always duplicate your view with detailing, because that allows you to kind of have all the details that you've already built. If you do it without detailing, it's just going to be like simple walls. So I'm just going to like move some of my walls out and just displace them, and move my floors and ceilings out as well. Let's start with the walls. So, and then mostly with a wall, if it's a curtain wall, you have to select it as well, but windows and doors move automatically because they're kind of embedded within the wall. So I can just do that and then displays the remaining of my things. So for example, in this case, I can't see my ceiling, as you can see, but I can click on this ceiling, say all instances in entire project. So that selects all my ceilings. And then I can add to that selection with other things and just displace them high up. And let's say I'm very happy with it. I can set my cube to be like this, and that basically creates my axonometric. And if I'm not happy, I can keep adjusting the elements, how far I want them to go. And that basically allows you to create like an axo, but without actually destroying your 3D model. So because it's a copy, so that's basically allowing you to do different things. If you, for example, get annoyed with these things, you can go hide in the view, and then I can hide a category. That way I don't see exact levels. And let's say, even if you paint your wall or did anything else, you can keep adjusting this and displacing it. But for the sake of this, guys, I will edit it. And I can, when I edit, I can remove it or add things to it. So if I want this wall to go and this column to be displaced, or even the stairs and platforms, I can add it. And then this adds to my selection. So it basically straight up move out of the way as one thing. But if I don't want the stairs, for example, I can deselect it and remove it from there. The same with the column, and they're gonna go back bang on to the same place they were put in by you, which is very, very useful, because that way you don't have to move them back or draw them again. And these things, then you just basically, you can export it. So what's good about this program, it allows you to export it as DWG. So if you want to draw on top of it or do anything else with these plans or anything, export them as DWG. That basically allows you to edit any element, and it will export lines, families, will literally everything be grouped. And it's really nice to work in CAD afterwards, because basically if you want to change one window, but you used only one window type in the whole project, it basically comes up only as one group in CAD, which allows you to basically edit just one group, and then everything in the whole file will edit. But it allows you to get an image out of this as well. So basically you pick your current view, you can pick pixels. Loosest in this case is the biggest, and basically it allows you to export an image out of the whole thing, which is great, because it will basically, I don't know if you can go share my screen afterwards. I don't actually know where I exported it, but I will show you on one of my different things from this year. It basically allows me to do things like this. So if I drew that in it, set it up as a sheet, it allows me to kind of export all the elements.
I don't think we can see what you're...
Okay, sorry. So like I will have to change the share screen. But basically it allows you to just change the image, just get it as an image, as a JPEG, in any size you want. So I hope that explains a lot. And then what I wanted to do for you guys is to show you kind of what a big proper done model would look like. And I will show you my competition work. That's kind of like the basics of how you would do and go about building most of the things. But this is a model that I kind of did for a competition work, and you can do a lot of different elements. So this was a 20-story building. So we had a big structure with thick walls, and then a lot of different types of models, and it basically shows you what the model is, and I can pick different types as well, and the different extra things. And it allows you to put green elements. It basically allows you to do rooms as well. And rooms are kind of easy. So if you had a wall or anything like that, you basically just drop a room and it tells you how. And you can change the tag to just tell you name and number, or tell you just metric area and the room, and you can name it. So let's say this is a living room. I know it's a massive, massive thing, but that basically gives you a room schedule. And if anything, it tells you what the room is, and then you can adjust the schedule according to whatever you want to do. You can add fields to it. So if I want a number, and then I want a count, and then I want a level that the number is on, and then, for example, wall finish. And that basically gives me how many rooms I have of that type, what level, and then you can keep adding different things to it. So depending on what you want to do, but that way it's really easy because the whole program creates basically your schedule of accommodation, your schedule of windows, your schedule of literally anything you put in the building. So if you had chairs, for example, you can schedule all your chairs. You can do the same with the doors. You can basically tag them. So like if I want my door, I can tag my door and do other things with it, which normally they teach you at work because every single office has a different types of tagging things and different types of names. You can do the same with the walls and stuff. But going back to this, basically it allows you to do a lot of things, change a lot of elements, create water, create all the basically other things. If you don't like the room placement name, you can drag it along with anything else. So I, for example, want to see how much square meters I have in there. And what I wanted to show you is a plugin basically that allows you to see things. So this is the model ready with all the things set up. And there is a plugin called Enscape. You can use it for SketchUp and you can use it for Revit, which is absolutely great. Basically allows you to do 3D water and allows you to do 3D grass and gives you a massive access library, which is absolutely amazing because it has a lot of furniture and it has a lot of construction elements, and it has elements like decoration elements, as well as something that is not that easily accessible, especially for Revit, which is vegetation and its actual size of trees and where the tree is from, what size it is, and how big towards a human it is. And it will tell you, and you can pick kind of like whatever you want to place in there. And there's from domestic trees to like any type of trees you can add people, and they're all extremely realistic, which is absolutely great because you don't really want to, spend millions of times doing your models. So that allows you to kind of do these things. The Enscape stuff comes up as a weird kind of mesh thing. So if you export an image like this, it will kind of show as a mesh. So unless you have an Enscape plugin, you don't really use anything else. But basically what it allows you to do is, at the moment, like, sorry for this, normally you would have a license for 6 months, which basically allows you to like use it without like a license thing at the bottom and like move around in your whole thing. I don't know if you can see the Enscape, but basically it's exporting like an image right now. What it will do I don't know, I'll share that. So you should be able to see like an Enscape right now. It's exporting like my image, which it will take probably forever. So until it kind of exports, you can ask me any like other questions you kind of want, because it would probably take a while. I don't know, any other questions? Because this will take a moment to actually happen, and I've been talking for a while, so.
How would you say, how good is using Revit for like detail design or just exporting details of buildings?
So what you normally do in the office, you either build your walls with the details that you already want them to be. So when you cut through it, it will kind of show you most of the details. Mm-hmm. And you can add extra things like insulation and other elements to your walls, which will show up on a detail, but they're kind of like flat elements. They're like 2D. So most of the offices have custom templates of these things that kind of allow you to like drop different types of insulation. Revit automatically kind of have just a basic insulation that you can add to draw your details. But what's good about it is, if you remember, I briefly just mentioned something called like regions. So if you don't like your wall cut, but you kind of want to stay within the wall size, do a call out and then drop like regions on top of it with different cross hatches that you kind of want and do details, and drop the 2D elements on top of it. They're not going to show up anywhere on your model, but they're kind of going to be as a 2D element within the wall sizes, and then you can hide any element within the thing to kind of show up, which is great for doing details, I think, because it kind of gives you the basis. I don't know why this is not loading, but then basically it should load. Did you say you uploaded videos? What videos? They have videos that you can basically learn from, which is great, and it kind of shows you step by step what you would learn. Can design a Revit the best to do a different program? Use Revit for final product. See, what I do, Jay, is I do an elevation in Revit, because for me it's extremely easy to do that. I don't understand why my Enscape's not working, but if you, for example, want to Photoshop your elevation, it basically, you can do that. I use Revit not as a final product, but more as a design product. So for my process, so I would do all the plans and all the drawings in Revit, because they give me the opportunity to have the same changes on sections and elevations and all the other elements. But when I want to do my final drawings for uni, I normally export them into CAD and do any extra finishes in CAD, because the problem with Revit is that if, for example, you use different walls and you wanted your elevations to be extremely colorful and have different paneling on it, that basically means you have to cut your walls into pieces, which is extremely annoying, and then you have to disallow them to join, and that allows you to do different panels within your wall and cut different profiles, which is kind of annoying to do, but it is possible to do. But if you work in the office, they will tell you to set up, like, they will give you an A1 template to set up all your drawings, and they won't really care as much if like certain elements don't look the same. You can draw regions on top of it if you prefer, with an exact element you want in 2D elevation. It will show up. I mostly render my elevations, so I tend to have them quite blank. And my Enscape just loaded, so I will share that with you guys. I don't know if you can see it. I know it says my license is deactivated, but it basically allows you to kind of travel and see everything in 3D. If I zoom in kind of on the grass, you can roughly kind of see all the elements. It allows me to kind of change the time of the day and the intensity of lighting within my building and do other things. And it allows me to walk, for example. So like I don't have to, sorry. Can I drop and walk? But it basically allows me to walk as well. So that sets automatically human height or whatever, but I'm standing on a barrier on a tree or whatever right now. And it allows you to, oh, I'm standing on the ground right now. So it basically allows you to like walk around the building, and you can film videos with it as well. I'll stop sharing that. But that is kind of like a rough workshop. If you have any more questions, like feel free to drop it in. Like if you can see my screen, like there's a lot of like structural elements in this model, but that's a very, very complex model that I was able to do only like last year. But it is absolutely great when it comes to editing all your elements, especially when you're during design process and your tutor tells you like, oh, I hate these windows, or redraw this section, or do anything like that. What you basically do is just this. You do this, you do one change within one program, and it changes every element for you, which is exactly what we want.
No, that's been really great, Nina. Thanks for taking us through that.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions. So unless anyone has any last minute queries, then I think we'll leave that there. And what was the websites again that you recommended that had like lots of tips?
So we have lynda.com, then you have National BIM Library. It's free for everybody to sign up. It's completely free, and it basically so like National BIM Library, that's basically UK standard library. So it'll give you standard sizes of literally everything possible on the planet, along with staircases. Then we have BIM objects, which is absolutely great. So that gives you a lot of furniture, and there's a lot of them connected to like IKEA, for example, or any other elements that you can actually access to. And then the last one is Revit City. So that's basically kind of like house, which is absolutely great because they do a lot of models that both of the other platforms don't do. So if you want, for example, a playground for a kid or anything else, and all of them are free. So that is absolutely amazing.
Cool. Thanks. Thanks very much for that.
So like I have a question. Was going to ask about layers and isolating elements or diagrams. So like isolating elements, just as I said previously, you kind of have an temporary isolation. So I can isolate element or I can isolate category. You don't have something called layers in Revit at all. You just have floor, ceilings, elements that you can kind of see either on your sections or your elevations, and there is no actual layer. But if I wanted to work only on my ceilings, I can hide the whole category of walls, and that basically gives you a very basic cut through everything. I hope that answers your question, Brendan. Yeah. But that is basically it. So if any of you at some point, whoever attended the workshop, have any kind of basic questions along when you work in Revit, just drop me a question. I've been working in this for quite a while. Even if you need a model for something like a kitchen or any other element, or you want a simple model, for example, to cut your wall, just drop me a question on Facebook or through ADA's chat, and then that's great. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
That's great. Thank you.
So they can be as complicated as you want, Josh. Like, seriously, like I normally just drew an outline because I do most of my finishes and things in Revit. So if you, for example, had sketches and you just dropped proper, like just middle wall outline into Revit, it basically allows you to draw lines on top of it and align to your basic plan what you've drawn before. So it can be as complicated or simple as you want it to be. And then if you do, that's actually kind of probably important. I'm gonna try to do that. I don't know why. I'm gonna move my thing. Sorry. So basically, when I did that, I can manage a lot of my things. So I can manage my links. So if you import your CAD or import any topography or any other format, it basically will show up in here. And it allows you to kind of change the colors of it and do other things with the plans. But you can manage it and you can delete it and you can hide it as much as you want, which is great. So it doesn't actually overlap your drawings. I hope that answered your question.
Great. Okay, right. I think I'll leave it there then. And thank you very much for taking time to take everyone through it and for offering to help out.
No problem.
Much appreciated. And ADAS will be in touch with the future workshops. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Cool. No problem. See you guys.
I'll see you there. Bye.
Bye.